Hey there everyone, welcome back to my coverage of the 2022 USBCs. We're following the Spector team, and they're currently playing up against the Beatty team in the quarterfinals. We've completed the first day of play, and Spector holds a pretty substantial lead in the match, but we're moving into the fifth segment, and let's see the hands for today. So taking a look at the scorecard, it looks like the Spector team had a pretty substantial win in this segment. They picked up 29 more imps. And that seems to come from a lot of very small swings. Actually, the largest swing went to the Beatty team on the very last board, where they bid a slam as opposed to a game at the other table. I guess I'm kind of interested in looking at board 3 immediately. That jumps out. There seem to be some difficult decisions about whether to play in game or not, and one of the tables actually, both of the tables made exactly their contract. So let's jump into that one and see what we've got. Okay, so on this hand, we have two passes from south and west. Neither one of them is particularly close to an opening bid or any reason to open. And north opens a diamond in third seat. East has nothing to say. South bids a natural heart. North bids a spade, and south bids a no trump. All of this seems pretty natural, and I can't imagine doing anything else at the start of the auction. For either player, in fact. And so at this table, we have North just bidding 3 no trump directly. So North has 18 highs, if we're counting the singleton jack of hearts, and this is opposite partner's heart suit. So we expect this to be, most of the time, a fairly useful card. In this specific layout, it doesn't do a whole lot for us. In addition, North doesn't have great shape or distribution. Some of this probably comes down to how much we believe South's 1 no trump bid is telling us about his hand, because as a past hand already, given that we've made a couple of non-forcing bids, both a diamond and 1 spade are non-forcing, South has the option to pass us in a spade with, for example, 3-card spade support. And South, of course, had the option to pass our 1 diamond opener if he didn't have a particularly good hand. South probably also had a variety of alternatives to show weak hands with, for example, diamond support, among other things. So this hand feels close to whether or not we want to bid game. In these scenarios, playing at imps, I think one of the standard ways to approach these kinds of hands is to just bid game and hope that it comes home. You get a large bonus for making game, and that translates to a large number of imps if you're correct. So let's take a look at the play and defense. West is on lead, and hearing this auction, we might think that a club makes the most sense because both diamonds, hearts, and spades have been bid naturally, but West holding a singleton club probably expects that South could have club length on this auction, and we don't really want to be leading a singleton. We want to try and set up tricks in our hand or tricks in our partner's hand. Given that we have a limited number of high card points, 6, we expect our partner to have about the same, maybe a few more, in terms of high cards. So leading our long suit or trying to hit partner's long suit both make sense. I would tend to reject a diamond. Leading away from the queen doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Between a heart and a spade, I think you could go either way here. Leading a heart away from the king could be in to declare a suit, but this also is our strongest suit and could help us set up tricks. And knowing that we have the king and 10 of hearts sitting behind declare, if our partner has any help for us, we might be able to set up a number of heart tricks. A spade happens to be our long suit. We do know that North has a 4-card suit, but South could have a singleton or a doubleton, and if partner has any sort of spade support, this also will help us to set up some tricks. So let's see what West does. He elects to lead the heart, his stronger suit. That makes some sense. And East wins the Ace of Hearts at trick 1. Makes sense, and I expect the 5 of Hearts return. That's normally what we do from a 4-card holding, to let our partner know the count in the suit, because South could of course have 5 hearts for this auction. So East does return the 5 of Hearts to the 3 and 8. And now for declare, let's pause and think about what's going on. We have 4 clubs, 2 spades, and 2 diamonds. So that's 8 tricks. Now we're going to need a 9th trick somewhere. And it looks like that just absolutely has to come from some sort of squeeze. Now the only, or I guess the most likely legitimate squeeze on this hand would be if one of the opponents holds 5 diamonds and 4 spades. Then the 8 of diamonds and, well, probably the 9 of spades will be threats against that player, and we can come down to Jack doubleton of diamonds opposite Ace King 8 and singleton 9 of spades in hand. That opponent will have to have unguarded one of those suits, and we can take our 9th trick. Aside from that, it looks like it might be fairly difficult to produce a line of play that actually makes 9 tricks. Another alternative I see. Okay, there are 2 actual alternatives that I see to this. One of them is to try and swindle the opponents, and what I mean by that is that we could, as South, lead the Jack of diamonds and hope that West doesn't cover with the Queen. This line of play from a double dummy perspective, of course, works 0% of the time because the opponents will always make the right decision, but on a layout like this, West might be a little worried that South is just trying to guess diamonds for whatever reason. And if he leads the Jack and we don't cover from West's perspective, North might hop up with the Ace and bang down the King, hoping that the suit splits. Now, given the auction, that seems a little unlikely because South did bid a no trump, as opposed to, for example, showing some diamond support in some way by, say, using XYZ to bid 2 clubs as a transfer to diamonds. But it's not a complete 0% line of play. Now, of course, if West has both the Queen and 10 of diamonds, we are very unlikely for this to succeed. If West has the Queen and 9 of diamonds, maybe it's also a little unlikely. But it has some merit. A final option is actually what's going on here on this hand, which is the 9, 8 of spades are actually valuable cards for declare. And this is one of the reasons why having good spot cards when you bid tends to be useful. You have opportunities like this, where after the Ace of Spades is cashed, with the Queen of Spades falling, we have some potential to set up a trick in spades, leading through the Jack 10. Now, the opponents are still going to need to not cash out their hearts for us to do this, but that would forcibly set up a 9th trick, and then the opponents will have to, get their signals together so that they can work out to cash the heart tricks. So let's take a look at what actually happens. The 5 of Hearts gets returned, and I wonder if part of... So I imagine West is going to switch suits here. He does. He switches suits to a oh. That's a little scary. Well, no. This gives Declare the opportunity to just take a diamond finesse for his contract, and I would not be surprised if South elected to do that on this hand. Yeah, let's take a look at what Vince ends up doing. at this point in play, I as South would know that the opponents could just cash out hearts, and that my only legitimate chance is the spade diamond squeeze that we talked about earlier. But that seems so remote that I think it's far more likely West has just made a mistake leading the diamond away from the queen. And there we have it. South does take the diamond finesse, which holds the trick, and 9 total tricks. One thing I did want to touch on a little bit here is that the opening heart lead went to the jack, and East does have a decision here. So East ends up winning the ace, which that might look like a very natural play to us. But on the other hand, East could have played the heart queen. Now, if Declare has the heart king, then playing the ace would set up Declare's king of hearts, which, okay, that's something we can do. Playing the queen would lose a trick to Declare's king of hearts immediately, but we would retain the ace. And that could be important for a number of reasons. It could be that we want to have an entry to our hand towards the end for whatever reason that might need to be. Maybe we have the good 10 of diamonds at the end. But also, when the queen of hearts holds, we can be fairly certain that our partner does have the king on this kind of deal, because when we play the queen, Declare doesn't know where the ace is. If he doesn't have the king, he would be very scared to duck the king of hearts. So we get a little more information by playing the heart queen, and then we can lead a low heart, and our partner, once the heart queen wins, probably suspects that we also have the ace. So had East won the queen of hearts, and then returned the 5 to, once again, show that the suit's splitting 4-4, West can probably work out what's going on and realize that they should be cashing out hearts immediately. Then East will probably be on lead. He will have a variety of options, but one of which would be just returning a low club. That won't give Declare any extra opportunities, and Declare will then have to play for the spade diamond squeeze, which turns out not to work. So let's take a look at what happened at the other table. We had the exact same auction: diamond by North, heart by South, spade by North, 1 no trump by South, and here North decides to bid 2 no trump. This is, I would say, the value bid, as some people would call it. It shows 18 to 19 high card points to balanced or semi-balanced hand in this case with some heart shortness. But again, at imps, it can be useful to just blast a game and hope that it makes, or hope that it at least has some chance of making. You don't lose a lot of imps. For example, if North-South had gone down in game at the other table for a score of -50 versus the 120 points from the part score, that's only 5 imps, whereas bidding and making game, a score of 400 versus 120 is 280, and I believe that's 7 non-vulnerable. I guess we can check the scorecard after this. It's been a while since I've done the imp score table, but point being that you get a larger bonus for bidding and making game, therefore you don't need the game to make all that often, at least when you're playing imps. Match points is a completely different story, same thing with 4 to match. So let's take a look at how the defense went. West on this auction also agrees with the heart opening lead. I think that makes a lot of sense. East plays the jack, whoops, and aha! Here's what we were talking about just a few minutes ago for the other table. East wins the heart queen. And when this holds, now I expect the 5 of hearts return. Oh, he returns the ace. So this could be... I was thinking that he wouldn't want to return the ace in case, for example, Declare happened to have the 10-8 of hearts in hand, because then, well, I suppose if you trust the 6 of hearts as being 4th best, then you know that Declare can't have both the 10 and 8 of hearts. The rule of 11 just doesn't add up that way. So, okay, I like the ace of hearts play then, but yes, the 5 of hearts would also probably get the same result. So, East leads the ace of hearts, And plays another heart to the 10. Whoa. Okay. I was going to say that this is probably a little premature, but what I expect happened is that Declare faced his hand and announced that he was playing for the spade diamond squeeze, and the opponent said that it didn't come home. Now, I think it's a reasonable thing to do, especially if the round is going a little slow. This is the third board of the round. I would expect Declare to actually try and play out the squeeze. Maybe the opponents can't communicate all that well and accidentally discard the wrong thing. Like, here, it seems a little unlikely. East is probably going to hold on to his 4-card diamond suit, but maybe in a different scenario, if East had Queen Doubleton of Spades and only 3 diamonds, he might discard from his 3 small diamonds thinking, oh, this was never going to take a trick anyway, but then he's just shifted the only diamond guard to his partner, in which case the squeeze would work. Nonetheless, I would say North-South for the Spector team got a little lucky in their room, but sometimes you need to do that. You take a risk, and sometimes the opponents just don't defend perfectly, and you end up making a game. Had they only been in a part score and the opponents made a mistake, they wouldn't have won as many imps. So it can pay dividends to be very aggressive in your bidding at imps. Alright, so that was one hand that looked a little interesting to me. I am quite curious whenever I see a score like 1150 as to what happened, so I kind of want to take a look at that. I kind of want to take a look at that board. Let's maybe pause. We'll save that for the very end of the video. And let's take a look at the closed room, how they ended up reaching a slam on this deal. So on this hand, East in first seat vulnerable opens a spade, 12 high card points. No one's going to complain about this opening bid. But this is a very strong hand with a void 7-3-3-0. Decent spots. The spades are not particularly great, but we have a lot of them. So we don't need all that strong spades for us to have a fit and find a game. South bids 2 spades, showing hearts and minors, the Michael's Q bid. This makes a ton of sense to me. We have a spade void, we're non-vulnerable, we want to find a sacrifice, we expect the opponents to reach a game in spades on this kind of hand. So, and maybe we'll have the opportunity to actually bid and make a game ourselves, probably in diamonds as opposed to hearts, but hearts is possible if partner has a large fit for us. West bids 3 hearts, showing a limit raise and spades are better. Yep, 12 high card points, 3 card spade support, makes a ton of sense. North is the only one who doesn't have a lot to say at this point in the auction. He probably suspects his partner has diamonds, although clubs would be a pleasant surprise, but he doesn't have a heart fit, so no reason to get involved. East bids 4 clubs, and I don't recall if this was the pair who was playing 4 clubs as a serious slam try in this kind of auction, or not. It wasn't alerted, so maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And South comes in with 4 diamonds. I like this bid a lot, just because of the vulnerability. Since North-South are non-vulnerable, South really wants to find a save, if possible, against a 4-spade contract, and showing both of his suits with some extra distribution. He had only promised 5-5 before, now he's 6-5. His diamonds are excellent. That maybe there will be a sacrifice to be made. Okay, so South bids 4 diamonds. West bids 4 hearts, showing a heart control. Probably first round heart control, so this should be the ace in this kind of auction. Pass by North. 5 diamonds by East. I don't expect that this is some sort of exclusion type bid, but it could be. Again, no announcement or anything from the VuGraph operator, so we don't really know. But this is either going to be exclusion, in which case West's 5 heart bid probably shows an even number of key cards, or this is going to be just some sort of generic Q bid, on this type of auction, in which case 5 hearts would be natural and showing heart control. And for what it's worth, East elects to bid 6 spades, and that ends the auction. Okay, so let's take a look at the defense very quickly. It looks like there's not a whole lot to look at. The spade finesse is going to work, and the ace and king of hearts are going to provide entries to take 2 club finesses. South leads the ace of diamonds. This gets roughed. We play a spade to the king, take a spade finesse, pull the last trump, and yeah. So East announced that he was just going to lead up towards the king, queen of clubs twice for his contract, and with the ace of clubs on side, that happens to work. Now, based on the auction, I would say we might be a little unhappy from East's perspective when we get into this contract, because South is the opponent who's done a large amount of bidding, and while we do understand that he has both hearts and diamonds, he also is likely to have most of the high card points. So the ace of clubs, I think, is at least as likely to be in South's hand, despite the club shortness, as it is in North's hand on this type of auction. But it works out for them. So now let's jump into the other table and see what all happened. Okay. East opens a spade once again. South comes in with 2 spades, hearts and a minor. West bids 3 diamonds, which conventionally for them is announced as a 3-card raise with invitational and more values. That sounds to me like they would use 3 hearts to show a 4-card limit raise. East bids 3 spades, which is insane to me. So this honestly feels like there was a bidding misunderstanding for East and West, because East, hearing his partner as a limit raise in spades, would surely bid a game in spades, and also would surely not pass 3 no trump on the next round of the auction when we have 10 spades between us and we have a diamond void. That's just crazy. Okay, so so it sounds like maybe East and West weren't on the same page about the 3 diamond bid. That makes total sense. But that's the only explanation I can offer for why East bid only 3 spades and West then bid 3 no trump. Okay. Pass and South doubles. That's interesting to me. I guess I kind of like the bid from South's perspective. So South is sitting on the same side of the screen as West, and he has been alerted that 3 diamonds is a 3-card limit raise in spades. East's 3 spade bid sounds like he's rejecting the invitation, and then 3 no trump suggests let's try that game. So from South's perspective, he expects his partner to have spade length over here, and with the spades splitting badly, he's hoping that the opponents are not going to be able to make 9 tricks on what he thinks is going to be a diamond lead from his partner. He'll play the 10, hopefully force out the queen, and then he'll have the suit ready to run whenever his partner gets in and wins the trick somewhere. So I think that's what South is under the impression is happening on this deal. Obviously, that's not exactly what's going on. But yeah, so that makes total sense. I'm not sure I would have been brave enough to double in South's position, but it does kind of put partner off of leading heart as well, and that seems relatively important on this kind of hand, because we obviously want a diamond lead as opposed to a heart lead. Let's see if North got the message. I suppose this double could maybe ask North to lead a heart, because that's our known suit, but I think the opponents, when they bid 3 no trump in a auction like this, are prepared for a heart lead. That's the suit that they know we have. So they aren't sure which minor suit we have, and West just can't have everything, right? He can't have a 3-card limit raise in spades, or 3-card support in spades, with hearts well stopped, and clubs well stopped, and diamonds well stopped. Then he would do something more than bid 3 no trump. So I think this double is suggesting that we want a minor suit lead. Let's see if North does that. Beautifully done. I know these two have been playing together forever, but it's always nice to see that when a partnership's on the same page about what's going on in these kinds of auctions and what doubles mean. So Declare on this opening lead is, of course, just going to do his best to win a trick and then try and run the spade suit, and when that comes home, he gets a large number of tricks in this contract. So hearts discarded. South wins the diamond ace. And now, yes, South can very easily tell that East and West were not on the same page about what's going on, because he sees the 7-card spade suit and therefore knows that the opponents have a large spade fit. So he returns the jack of diamonds, but that's no good. Declare wins, takes the spade finesse, and claims his 11 tricks. Yep. So this is all very reasonable for the defense and line of play, and yeah, sometimes bidding misunderstandings can work out for you to a small extent. And although East-West do lose imps on this hand, they got to maybe a better contract, given that South just really can't have queen 10-3 of spades. 3 no trump feels like it's odds on to make. I suppose one of the diamond honors could have been in North's hand, but you know, regardless of that, they do reach a making contract and got a little lucky with the double, I would say. That the bidding misunderstanding caused South to think that there was something else going on this board. But yeah, so I would say it's a little unfortunate for East-West that the pair at the other table did happen to bid a slam, which required a finesse in clubs, and happened to make. But you know, I do think that sometimes people shouldn't be rewarded for having bidding misunderstandings. So I'm kind of happy that it worked out for the Spector team on this deal. But okay, I guess that's going to conclude my commentary for today's segment. So Spector bounced back, having lost the previous segment by a number of imps, and picked up 29 more in this segment to further advance their lead. I'm not sure exactly how many they're ahead. I think it's probably close to 100 imps by now. But join me again tomorrow as we take a look at the 6th segment. I'll see you then.